All right, let's go. You rocking with bro. There's some news articles and some topics that I wanted to discuss with everybody and give my 2 cents, my feedback on some of the things that I've been seeing over the web. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So one thing that I've noticed is that there's some strange things going on in the state of New York. There's a lot of things going on with immigration. There's a lot of things going on with policies. There's a lot of things that I think we need to start paying attention to. And one of those particular topics, as you can see here, is that New York isn't alone when it comes to granting driver's license to immigrants without legal status, which is pretty interesting. So essentially, long story short, immigrants can actually get a drive only driver's license. And it's not just the state of New York, it's also New York, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington state. Now, the interesting thing is they say that this particular drive only driver's license, you can't do anything with except drive. Now, I could be crazy with this, but I've never seen a drive only driver's license. I'm pretty sure if you hand a driver's license over to someone at the bank or someone just in general, I'm sure they will take that driver's license as a valid driver's license without any indicators that it's a drive only driver's license unless you get pulled over by the police. So what I actually did is I went and I looked up drive only driver's license in the state of Minnesota. And here's what I was able to find. I'm going to pause it here. I'm not going to play it due to copyright possible restrictions. But if you notice here, here's a standard driver's license. Here is a real ID driver's license. And here is an enhanced driver's license, which I would assume is for CDL drivers, things along those lines. And this is courtesy of the state of Minnesota as of March 28th, 2023. This rule has been in place since 2019, I believe, at least in the state of New York, but they said there's been some longstanding laws that have been in place that date back all the way to 1993. So again, this driver's license doesn't have any special indicators, again, unless you get pulled over by the police, saying that this is a drive only driver's license. And some people will say, well, why would that be important? Well, for insurance purposes, someone can be an immigrant who doesn't have legal status. They could possibly rent cars on Turo because, again, if you just have a driver's license and a checking account or a debit card, you could rent a car. You could do a lot of things with just having a particular driver's license. Um, Obviously, they can't vote or based on what the law is saying, but that doesn't stop people from doing a lot of random things that you could possibly do with a driver's license, even though you do not have legal status. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to bring up. Like, this is a very big impact to everyone, to whereas, again, you have individuals who don't have to have any type of legal documentation. And to dive further into each individual state, they don't have to even have to provide proof of residency. They can essentially go in with paper social security numbers. They can go in with the minimal amount of documentation and achieve this drive only driver's license. So that's not where the bleeding ends for the state of New York today. So FEMA has also stated that they will stop and halt payments for migrant housing in New York after Elon Musk blasts New York for the amount of money it spends in hotels. So essentially, FEMA spent $59 million on housing. And Elon Musk is essentially saying that the $59 million that was spent on housing illegal immigrants went to luxury hotels. Now, this has actually been fact checked by the AP. And essentially, the state or the government agencies such as FEMA that pay out this type of money in these spaces, they don't go directly to the hotels themselves. But if you read in between the lines here, you don't have to pay them directly to the five-star luxury resort. After you've handed the money over, the person could then go get the hotel or room accommodations that they would need. So that could be Airbnb's at a very, very high dollar per night rate. This could very easily be any type of housing situation that you could have in the state of New York City. To whereas again, this could be Airbnb's, this could be Verbos, this could be anything that your heart could imagine as it pertains to housing arrangements that could be. You could pay it to a friend. If you knew someone in New York, the housing arrangements, you could just funnel the money back into the same household. So, for example, if I'm an illegal immigrant, but I know someone who is living in a housing situation, I could just say, hey, here is the rent that they're charging me. I could then have them pay my friend, and my friend gives me the kickback. Again, the avenues of how this money is being spent is crazy. And again, and if I'm someone who's in New York, I wouldn't want these particular funds to be stopped. Because again, if I was in New York, I would sublet every single last apartment I could and then rent those out because I would know that I could charge a premium amount for a room or for an entire house or apartment situation and get premium dollar if FEMA is cranking out $59 million a week in immigrant housing. That is a lot of money. That is a ton. So essentially, they're going to go through the legal process in regards to rectifying this. But again, this is just the overarching issues from which we're having with illegal immigration. This is some of the things that we're having with our spending and trying to work on cutting the deficit. Because again, this is one of the things from which got Donald Trump elected in other spaces because they understood that there was a lot of money that was going out the back door. That's why they're trying to cut all these federal agents, I'm sorry, federal employees, federal programs, because there were a lot of money sliding out the back door, whether it was FEMA, whether it was government aid, government assistance, healthcare, food stamps, you name it. This money was going out of the back door and creating a pseudo micro economy, in my opinion. This is not facts. This is just my opinion on these particular situations. So, again, I'm not sure what's going on in New York, but it seems like